Hey everybody, this is Kelly from Hills, Deals and Wheels Mobile Home Investing Course, and we have a special guest today, Mrs. Brenda Hendely. How are you doing, Miss Brenda?
I'm doing great, thank you.
All right. So Miss Brenda is a new mobile home investor. So introduce yourself to everybody, Miss Brenda.
Well, I am 71 years old, have four grown children, five grandchildren, and I am retired. So, um, yeah, I was looking for something to invest in, and I just happened to go through YouTube, and there were mobile home investors, a lot of different or three different courses that I could have tapped into. Um, and so I just kept pursuing, and checking it out and listening to some of the shorter videos on YouTube. And I became very interested, intrigued about it.
So did you retire as a realtor or anything to do with?
Oh, well, in the past, I come from a family of, I have two sons that are builders, and we flipped houses about 20 years ago when I was much younger and more able-bodied. And
Oh,
so, um, but yeah, I come from a Christian background. And my father was a minister, so I grew up in the church. And, his passion was really helping the underserved population. And so I remember people coming to the parsonage, being uh, in being very needy, and he would offer them a meal, feed them. So I just grew up with that giving kind of influence and spirit. And when I took the course, I took a course, Trailer Cash Academy, I think is the course I took.
right.
Um, and, they talked about um, not doing this just as a business, but to be able to help those who and provide that those who couldn't afford $200,000 homes and provide them with good, affordable housing. So that really piqued my interest. And so I took the course and I started in January, and already I found a mobile home on Marketplace. I checked Craigslist, Marketplace. I drove through some of the mobile homes in my area to see if there are any for sale signs. Um, so I located one and yeah, made the deal.
Okay. So Miss Brenda, how did you find this one particular mobile home? How did you find it?
I found it on Marketplace.
You found it on
Yeah.
Marketplace.
Uh-huh.
And walk us through the deal. You found it on Marketplace, and then what did you do after that?
Okay, I messaged the owner and asked to meet with him. And so I went and saw the mobile home and we chatted. It was a young man who was very motivated. Um, he had, yeah, he really needed to sell. And so he was asking 6,500, and we closed the deal and I paid him $5,000 for the mobile home.
Okay. So you were able to talk him down because he was motivated. And what way was he motivated? Was he like financially
Well,
strapped or what?
he was financially strapped, absolutely, yeah. And he was an interesting character, very nice young man. But he was protesting some court rulings on his children. I think he separated from his wife, and um, I don't know all of the story, but it was pretty involved. But he actually set up a tent in front of the courthouse to protest the rights of the father or he felt that fathers needed more rights to be able to have their children. So he sold his mobile home so that he could be more available to, further his mission. So anyway, that's why he was willing to come down on the deal a little bit.
Okay. All right. And so was that mobile, can you tell us the year of that mobile home?
So
Beds and bath? Mhm.
1981 Victorian mobile home, um, constructed in Indiana. Um, and it had 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. My biggest mistake, and if anybody's out there wanting to invest, and if you're not a licensed builder, make sure you get an inspector to go through the mobile home, because that, before you even make an offer, um, that's my advice to someone, because we did not do that and ran into some expensive problems, and I had it inspected, I may have been able to offer him a little less for the mobile home, because we had to replace the hot water heater, and that was like a $1,500, $1,300 expense that we had not planned on. But anyway, the mobile home was really in pretty good shape. So other than needing a deep cleaning, and we painted the whole interior, and put new flooring in throughout, and fixed the soft spots, which are typical of any mobile home at that age. So yeah.
Okay. And I shared with everybody pictures of that mobile home, so it turned out very, very nice. So what would you say you were totally out of pocket, you know, buying the mobile home in the rehab? How much were you out of pocket?
Was out of pocket for $15,000. Bought it for 5, put 10 into it. Now that included the holding costs, the lot rent in the 2 months that we were working on it. I did buy insurance for it, and of course paying the utilities during those 2 months. All in, that included all of that, was $10,000. So we sold it, and what was miraculous was we had an open house. We worked, how you push yourself to this deadline for the open house, and I just promoted it on Marketplace. And I also did Mobile Home Village, MH Village, I think
Yes,
that's what
ma'am.
it's called. Yes.
Hmm.
And so we got all set up for the open house, and I sat there for 2 hours, and no one showed up. So I thought, well, I wasn't discouraged, because I've been in sales for, 25 years. I sold advertising. And so I'm familiar with rejection, or, just things not happening as quickly as what you would think they would. Well, then I got a message on Marketplace that evening from a couple who really wanted to come and see it. So I made an appointment that very next day on Monday, and it was the first couple that came through, and they bought it after
Wow.
they came in, and they were just so happy and amazed at how beautiful it was. And so it that was like, wow, okay, you can't judge by an open house. You just
Right.
have to keep, plugging away at it. So
You know
I
what,
did good.
Miss Brenda, we had a mobile home, was in 1983. And as soon as I posted, we had 12,000 people contact us on Facebook Marketplace. Went to the open house, nobody showed up. Nobody. And the
Wow.
next day, just like you, somebody messaged us. We met them at the mobile home, and we sold it as well. So you were out of pocket altogether with purchasing the mobile home in the rehab, 15,000. So how much did you sell it for?
24.9. So we
24.
profited. Yeah. Yeah. We
Okay.
profited close to $10,000.
Okay. And so are they on payments, or they bought the
Oh
cash.
no, we no cash, cash. Well, actually, they're getting a mortgage, but they've been approved, and we're just waiting to close on the mortgage, and it should close in 2 weeks. And they even agreed to pay the lot rent for the month that it took for the mortgage to close. So we didn't even have to pay that next month's lot rent.
Right. And that's not rare because somebody actually offered that to us as well. That's not rare at all. So, Miss Brenda, you found it on Facebook Marketplace. You talked to the seller. You talked him down. At what point did you go over to the park manager to see if you could purchase that mobile home?
As soon as we didn't sign any paperwork, wait, did we? We did sign a purchase agreement, but it was pending approval from the park. So I went over to the park and met with the manager and told her what our goals were as investors. And she was very amenable and said that, if because she has a broker there, but she said if they ever got overworked or overloaded, she would definitely pass on some opportunities for me, um, if they were available. So that meeting, and actually her husband went to high school with my son. So there, and we didn't know each other, but just that connection, and that's what I encourage you to do is try to build relationships with the park managers. Um, find out something about them, where you can strike up a conversation that's more on a personal level. And it really helps to build that relationship then and move forward. So, but like I said, this is my first experience. So I'm not here to give you all of the words of wisdom because I'm new at it. But
Right,
that's just been my experience. And my
right,
experience in sales is really building relationships with your clients. And I consider park managers as a client of mine because they're the ones that are going to feed me um, potential uh, opportunities.
right. And that's what I tell people all the time. Don't, surpass the park manager because they often bring you the sweetest deals, They
Right,
often do.
right.
They often
hmm
do. So
hmm
where are you doing business out of, Miss Brenda? Where are you at?
Um, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, okay. I'm actually
Uh,
from Michigan. So
oh, you
and
are
what was the lot rent there?
505.
505. Okay.
hmm
All right. Okay. And so do you foresee yourself doing these types of flips
Yes,
in the
I
future?
do.
Okay.
Yes. And what
So
I would
sell
like to do,
Mhm.
uh, I
Go
would
ahead.
be open. The more I'd like to do a few, starting out with just cash sales, and then I'm not crazy about wholesaling. I haven't been convinced that it would be something I'd be interested in. But I would love to just keep flipping, and then I would be open down the road to offering payments. Um, so, owner financing. So I
Right.
would be, willing to do that.
Right. Well, we're definitely on the same page with wholesaling. To me, that's a lot of work, driving around, trying to connect people. That is just too much work for me and my brother. So, what are your thoughts about renting? Because that's what we actually do. We rent our mobile homes out.
Oh, you do?
Yes, ma'am.
I haven't, I haven't even looked into that. Um, and maybe you and I can discuss that when we're not taping.
Sure, 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 sure.
But I really didn't want to be a landlord. I, yeah, I'm not sure. You'd have to talk me into it.
Well, my whole mindset, Miss Brenda, a lot of our mobile homes are 2017, 2018. So why would I sell or
Oh,
finance that out when I could be getting rent for a lifetime? Because
yeah.
the average mobile home, depending upon when you buy it, has like a life expectancy of 55 years to 60.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to just sell a finance that and get like 5 to 7 years worth of payments when I could get payments for a lifetime. That's
Uh-huh.
my whole mindset.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
let's talk.
We'll do that, that's for sure. So were there any challenges besides the hot water heater? Because if you would have found out about the hot water heater before, you would have offered him less. Was there
I
any
would have,
other challenges?
well, there was, yes. We, my son went under, we have no plumbing experience really. Um, and I hadn't even gone through the process of looking for a handyman that was good in all of those areas. Um, because I do come from, like I said, I have two sons that are builders, and but they're not pros in plumbing. And my one son was concerned about he saw some leaking happening underneath the mobile home.
Okay.
So I called a plumber, and come to find out there was the trap that was under the shower was not attached to the shower. So if the shower was running, the water was just coming out into the ground. So we had to get that repaired and replaced. Um, Other than that, no, we were able to stay pretty much on budget. In fact, that mobile home, the repairman that came said, "Boy, this looks like it was a custom built home in its day." In the 80s, because there were over 45 cabinets in the kitchen and dining
Wow.
area alone. I know,
Wow.
with lazy Susans up the wazoo. I mean,
Wow.
the
Wow.
corner, yeah, in the corners of the kitchen counters, those were two lazy Susans. And then there was a whole from floor to ceiling, like 3 foot wide. There were 5, 6 layers of lazy Susans in that. So it was a homemaker's dream. And in fact, the wife looked at it, was just so excited about all these lazy Susans. So we really found a gem, even though there were some couple of issues that we had to contend with.
So, Miss Brenda, a home that old in the state of Michigan, are you able to move it?
It has to be, I think it has to be at least a 19, I think it's 1980, 1978, after the HUD, you
Right.
know, um, restrictions and everything.
1976. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
All right. And so you said you rehabbed it and you bought it, you were out of 15, you turn around and you sold it for 25. What made you say, hey, this home is worth 25? How did you determine that value for that particular mobile home?
I just looked at other ads um, that I had come across on Marketplace and compared. Um, Some were lower, than ours, obviously, but they were smaller. Mine was a 14 foot by 76 foot. Even though it was just a two-bedroom, one bath, it was really, the ceilings were 8 feet tall
Mhm.
um, in the living areas. And um, it was just an attractive mobile home on the inside. And we, it was all paneled when we bought it. So when you walked in, it was dark. And what I'm convinced of is the lighter the walls, the more appealing it will be to a buyer. So we just decided to prime and paint everything in a very light neutral color. Then another thing we did was we staged it. And that's what I would encourage also investors to do. And it wasn't a lot. It was just an area rug and a couple of upholstered chairs. And we'll just move those from mobile home to mobile home because we
Right.
remove them once we, leave and sell it, or once the new owner takes residency, but or residence. But just a couple, we put plants around and it just made it look very attractive.
Yeah,
And,
I totally agree with you. I thought I saw a couple of lamps there too that you, uh,
yes,
yeah. And I was
yeah,
wondering, did she stage that or, I wasn't sure
yeah,
what you
we
had
did.
did, but it was very
Hmm.
impressive. Yeah.
Hmm. And
So
we
the
put a
state,
bed in, just air
oh,
mattresses. We had two cots, put a full-size air mattress on it, and then just put a comforter over it so you don't have to actually move real mattresses in there. But it looked like a full-size bed and, with accessories and pillows and plants and was just very attractive.
okay. Yeah, it was very impressive because I thought that you were like, at first when I saw your advertisement, I thought you were wholesaling it because I saw the
Oh,
furniture that was in there. And then when
oh,
I read it a little bit closer, I saw what you were doing. So that was very impressive. We have never staged a home, but that is something really to think about because I mean, you did that inexpensively, I'm sure.
oh yeah. I mean, we spent on, and had I bought, I actually bought the rug and the slipper chairs is what they call them. I invested $275 for those, but I just consider that my own business that we will, like I said, we'll be using those in every mobile home that we sell. So yeah, and I think it makes a big difference because people buy on emotion so many times, and if they come in and they see something that's so attractive, they're like, "Ooh, I like this," and um, just a few furnishings really can create that feeling for the buyer.
Right,
So,
right. And so what about how did you go about checking for liens before you purchased the mobile
well, I went
homes
to
and the taxes?
right, I went to the Secretary of State, and then I called the township to make sure everything was paid, and yeah, it was a clear title, and the taxes were all up to date. In fact, the mobile home um, includes the taxes in this particular park, includes the property taxes in the lot rent so that they can be assured that they're being paid,
Wow, that's a
which
smart
I think is
idea.
really smart. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have never heard of that before. That's an excellent idea.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what was your experience with MH Village? Because I'll tell you mine after you say
Oh,
what you.
like I said, this is my first experience. In fact, I haven't even canceled the ad yet. So I have no feelings one way or the other about them.
Mhm.
Um,
Did you get an
so
influx of people? Because I did not. And
no,
we've
no.
done it twice. Yeah, and then you have to pay. And what happens is that your advertisement, you don't even have to cancel it. What'll happen is eventually they will take the picture down, but the wording will still be there. That that
Oh, okay.
that's what happened. So yeah, I
I
was just
see.
curious how you felt about that. So what are your
Yeah.
thoughts about, so you've done a deal inside of a park. What are your thoughts about doing deals on land or maybe acquiring your own land and doing deals that way?
That could be something that would interest me. Yes, I would be open to that.
Okay.
Um, Again, we started, and this is what I loved about the investment of mobile homes is that you can do this with small capital, very little capital. I mean, granted, we put $15,000 into that first one, but relatively speaking, I mean, when you're talking investing in stick-built homes and then flipping those, which is what we have done in the past, you need a lot more capital and it
Right.
takes a lot more time to close on a deal than it does, mobile homes.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree because we own two single family homes and man, anytime one of our renters calls us, I'm like cringing, like, oh my goodness. I hope it doesn't
Now
set me
what?
back too much. But if it's a mobile home, I don't give it a second thought. I'm like, okay, that's no big deal. You know,
Right,
it's just
right.
amazing. So what really turns you off about wholesaling?
I think it's, I think it can be tricky because the seller, here's my fear that the seller would, if a buyer came through you, but somehow connected just with the seller, and the seller said, well, I'll sell it to you for, $3,000 or $5,000 less than what the wholesaler is
Right.
doing, then, all of your work that's gone into it could go
Right.
right out from underneath you. So that's and I just don't really get it.
Mm.
Other than, getting a buyer's list all set up with ghost ads and that kind of thing, um, uh, is helpful to the seller because they're not going to think to do that. So, I mean, you can create a list, a buyer's list, I guess, with by doing that, and then and then offering that to the seller as potential interest, I guess. But
Mhm.
like I said, I haven't even pursued it because it just sort of turned me off.
Right, right. So right out the gate, you weren't even thinking about wholesaling. You were thinking about buying and holding and flipping.
Mhm.
That's what you were thinking about. You weren't even wholesaling wasn't even on your mind.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't particularly care for it either. So Miss Brenda, so you purchased the course, you read over the course, and it seems like there was like no analysis paralysis on your end. What do you have to say to students who yeah, I know students who take course after course after course. I'm like, oh my goodness, how many
And then
courses
don't
you
do
got to take?
anything.
Yes, yeah. Do you have any
Yeah.
advice for like a student that might be having analysis paralysis?
Hmm. If I mean, my first thought would be just do it. Just take that leap of faith and do it. Um, but if you want to partner with someone and find a mentor, I'm sure out there in the community of investors, someone would take you under their wing and work with you until you felt more comfortable in doing this on your own. That's the only other thing I can think of other than, but like I said, I've been in sales all my life, so I'm not fearful of rejection. Um, because in the past I worked for the daily newspaper here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And it was a very reputable type of business. So I believed in what I was selling. So if I was being rejected, and again, I believe in selling these mobile homes. If I've done the work and created a beautiful place for someone to live in, I'm not going to be fearful of selling that to someone. I haven't just slapped it together and crossed my fingers and hoped for the best. Um, but I think if you just do diligence and create something that is safe and appealing and affordable to people, it's just going to be a win-win for everybody.
Right. I mean, I totally agree. So, Miss Brenda, in order to buy your first mobile home, because you actually had to buy, did you put your name on the title or
Yes, I did. Mhm.
okay. How many mobile homes in Michigan are you allowed to buy without having a license? Are you familiar?
I'm I just know through training that it's okay if you do a couple, but you really do need to get a dealer's license, and I will be getting a dealer's license.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, I'm going to be doing that.
Okay.
Hmm.
So in mostly all of the states except for California, I believe, the test is actually open book. I'm not really sure if that holds true for Michigan, but I'm pretty sure it does. Did you know that?
Well, I looked into it, and it sounds like you don't even need to take a test. You just pay
Wow.
the $400, and they send you, you know, your license. So
Wow.
that, yeah, yeah. I From what information I went online and looked it up as far as what the state of Michigan requires, and I don't think there's any test involved.
Wow. And
Yeah,
you know what? There are a couple of states that don't even require a test. They just want you to pay the money, and then of course you have to get the surety bond as well. You have to do
right.
that. Okay.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, Miss Brenda, what are your thoughts about people who are investors who quit their primary job and then jump into mobile home investing? Because I'm sure when you had to also apply to the park, didn't you, in order to buy that particular right?
Right.
And so
Hmm.
they had to make sure that you were going to be able to afford that lot rent. So, what are your thoughts regarding people who just jump out there and quit their jobs, thinking, "Oh, I'm just going to do this." Full
I
time
don't
without.
think it's wise. Of course, I'm pretty. I mean, I'm a risk taker, but I'm not stupid. So I don't think it's wise to do that personally, unless you have a lot of capital that you can live off of, for 6 months. Um, because realistically, I mean, it took from the time we applied to the mobile home park and were approved. I mean, they were dragging their feet. It was a little frustrating for me. It took at least 2 weeks for that
Wow.
to be approved because they're owned by a big mega company, and the underwriter in Detroit had to go through all of my um, paperwork and records and everything before they would approve me. But yeah, I wouldn't advise that. I would wait until I would do it as a side hustle and wait
Mm.
until you get a few of them under your belt so that you can realistically figure out, okay, how long does it take me from the time I actually am interested in purchasing this mobile home
Mhm.
until I finish rehabbing it? Because that's all loss. I mean, you're not making income for maybe 2 to 3 months, maybe even more. Like I said, I'm brand new at this, and I was lucky to sell it as quickly as I did.
Right.
So I would advise that you get a few under your belt so that you could really be realistic about the time frame it takes from the time you buy till you make, the income.
Right. And I totally agree with you. I mean, I had people say, "Oh, I quit my job and I'm almost finished with the course." And I'm thinking, "Why would you do that?" Now it's okay if you're, buying on land, but if, inside of a park, they're gonna want to run your credit because, it's gonna
Right,
be like you're gonna be living there, but you're not. You plan on
right.
flipping it.
And you have to be
So,
employed in order to be able to even be approved by the park. So, yeah, you have to be smart about it.
right, right, right. So, when you say you said we purchased a mobile home, we rehabbed it. Who is we?
Oh, I'm sorry. My
That's
daughter
okay.
and I, um, she, well, let me backtrack. I initially did this to get my son, my youngest son, my baby,
Okay.
um, established in a business. And so I said, I will put up the money for you, and let's try this one out and see if it's worth it. And um, he just said, Mom, I am not interested in mobile homes. I'm sorry. Well,
Mhm,
my oldest daughter, said, Mom, I'll do it. And
mhm.
she has done a lot of, minor construction work. Like she built a pergola in her backyard, and um, she changes light fixtures. She has changed light fixtures before, and just minor stuff. But she's very handy, and she has her tool belt, and she has tools, and she was a professional painter too. I mean, she's done a lot of beautiful um, uh, McMansions, and interior work is what she does. Um, but she said, I can make as much, if not more, flipping these mobile homes as I can painting, and there's more variety of work to do there. It's not just painting, it's flooring and decorating and all that kind of stuff. So she decided to go in with me together, and it's just it's great. It's just a lot of
Wow.
fun.
Wow,
Yeah.
two women. I love that. I
Yes.
love that.
Yeah.
So, so now you made your first profit. What is your son saying now?
He's not.
He said, he, he said, forget that. He gonna let y'all do
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
He's letting us do it. I almost think it was an image thing. Um, which, I don't care how I make money if it's legit and if I believe in it.
Right.
I'm not too good to go into a mobile home and, uh, clean out the trash and replace the toilet and whatever needs to be
Right.
done. And I think he felt that that was a little bit beneath him. So whatever,
Okay.
you
Okay.
know, we'll just take it to the bank. We'll just take the money to the bank ourselves and do our own
Right.
thing. And I
Right.
wish him well.
Right. So, Miss Brenda, me and my brother actually, we were investing during the pandemic, and we
Oh,
thought we thought things were going to slow down, but it really didn't slow down. The only thing that slowed down that the park managers really weren't that available when we would find a buyer. It was kind of hard to track them down. Um,
really?
yeah.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts if we have another pandemic? What are your thoughts concerning the mobile home investing business? You think it's going to thrive, or what do you
I
think?
think it's always going to thrive because the way that our economy is and the way that housing is just out of reach, affordable housing is out of reach for so many people. And the percentage, and I read up on this and I don't remember the numbers, but there's such a strong percentage of people that need affordable housing. And, you know, call it a ministry, call it a business, whatever you want to call it, there is a need out there. And if we can fill that need, then we all win. And to me, it's very rewarding.
Right, right. Now there was a time, well, we're in a time where single family homes are going up, but so are mobile homes. Do you ever think that? Because my family, we actually got 5 free mobile homes. Do you ever think that there'll be a point where the mobile home prices will get back to where they were before, like sort of kind of normal?
No, I don't think so. But but if you still do the numbers and add what you would get from a mobile home plus the lot rent, what I make sure, or what I'm going, and in the future, what I will make sure is that I will never go over what a two-bedroom apartment would cost. And that's $1,200 on average in my area every month. Well, if I
Mm,
can offer a mobile home, even with the lot rent for around $1,000, that's saving that, and they're owning a piece of home, you know,
right,
uh, that's saving them $200 a month. That's $2,400 a year. So even though it will go up, so are stick-built homes going up. So everything's going to go up, but um, it's all relative because incomes then will increase. I mean, it's just the way when you think of, how much a mobile home was in the 1970s, um, it's far less than it is today, but so is the income. It's all relative.
wow. Okay, all right. So, Miss Brenda, where do you see yourself 5 years from now, you and your daughter in the mobile home business? Where do y'all
Oh,
see?
wow. You know, because I'm retired and I'm getting forgetful, so I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years.
Where would you like to see yourself?
I would love to have a mobile home park. Yes, I
Okay,
would love to own a mobile home park. Hmm.
okay,
And create a beautiful environment for people because, boy, I know from what I've read, we can't you can't build any more new mobile home parks. Is that
right,
correct?
right. You can't.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So and the mobile home, there are like 4 or 5 mobile home parks in the Grand Rapids area that I really would like to see be rehabbed and revamped. Um, the one that I sold this first mobile home in is a it's owned by Sun Community. I think that's what it's called, Sun Community, and it's a national um, corporation that has thousands of properties and RV parks and everything across the country. I'm sure you're familiar with them.
Right. Yes.
And but this park has, a beautiful Olympic sized pool, a kiddie pool, multiple playgrounds around the whole park.
Mhm.
And I think there's over like 150, 200 mobile homes in that park. So and it's very well maintained. The streets are wide. I mean, that's my vision, is to be able to, um, if I live that long, to be able to buy a park and really, because there's so many parks that are in need of help, you know.
Right.
Um, and you say park managers are hard to find. I mean, I just can't believe how they keep their jobs.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I'm saying during the pandemic, they weren't
oh,
working. Yeah, during the pandemic,
okay.
yeah, everything was
Okay.
pretty much shut down.
Shut down.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it
So
was
it was
crazy.
hard for you to,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
I get that
Hmm.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, Miss Brenda, I tell everybody, I'm a retired Army nurse, and
Oh,
I tell everybody, if I would have found out about mobile home investing, I would have never gone to college. I
yeah.
would have never.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts about that? If you would have found out about mobile home investing earlier, would you have taken that path versus the path you took?
Well, I'm not sure. It is hard work. I will say that. I mean, physically, being the age I'm at, and I do have arthritis. So by the end of the workday, I'm exhausted. But I actually went in and did a lot of the labor as far as cleaning, and it was a very dirty mobile home. So I had to wash walls and
Mm,
prepare them even for painting. Um, would I have done it? I don't know. My previous position, I was making a 6-figure income back then,
mm,
but I probably could have made more. Yeah, I don't know. It's a toss up, to be honest with you.
yeah. Yeah, I don't not really interested in flipping too much unless it's an older model mobile home like you guys had.
Uh-huh.
The older ones when you try to rent those out, that could be a nightmare. You're gonna get a phone call probably every 5 minutes.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
was probably best that you guys did it the way you did was, you
right,
know, get the cash
right.
and keep it moving. So,
Hmm.
Miss Brenda, do
Hmm.
you have any final words for anybody who's trying to get into this business?
Oh, I think, be willing to work hard, but there's nothing wrong with hard work, and it really can create the dream that you have for yourself financially. Um, because there is money to be made. Uh, you can, I would say, after your first year, easily make a 6-figure income if you're smart about it, and if you keep your job for and do a side hustle your first year, and really get a clear picture of how much it's going to take to invest, and then the kind of money that you can make. There's really money to be made out there. So I wish everybody luck, and pursue your dreams. Just don't let anybody tell you that you can't do what you envision you can do, and just go for it. Just do it.
All right. Okay, guys, this is Kelly from Hills, Deals, and Wheels Mobile Home Investing Course. We just finished talking to Mrs. Brenda Hendley, a brand new mobile home investor. She did a flip with her daughter and, successful. She was very successful at that. And I greatly appreciate you being on here, Miss Brenda. And I want you to go ahead and share your email address with me. You can, through Facebook, and
Okay.
I will get the material out. And if you have any questions, I'm here for you.
Well,
Okay.
great. Yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to chat with you further about
Okay.
rent, about being a landlord. Yeah.
Sure, we could do that. We could do that. No problems with that. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Miss
Well,
Brenda.
Kelly, thank you for having me. This has been
Thank you.
enjoyable. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You have a good
Uh-huh.
day.
Okay, you
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye.